And so we ask ourselves, will our actions echo across the centuries?
Softlinks double mag 5.56 pouch, contract number GS01T128, Kilo Delta 0002, manufacturer Tactical Tailor, date of manufacture 09/2015, NSN, I can't read it, 8465-01-633-8266, part number 6814 SOF LCS 5. So yeah, that's all I have to say tonight.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Very
It's
nice.
it's got to be one of my favorite genders personally. You know what I hate though? I was asking. So this is a common theme that I always see, like when I ask people online or group chat or whatever. If I'm like, hey, looking at this for this reason, does anybody have any recommendations? Or, hey, I have these things I'm trying. Does anybody have any sort of insight they can provide me? And then I just get a ton of really bad suggestions to do alternative things that aren't even in the same realm or that are like very clearly different. Like the most recent one that just started to bother me and remind me not to ask people online for advice anymore was that I was asking if Core makes something but small, like so that you can fit it into like a hydration, like for me, I have the hydration back panels, or like any sort of back panel, like a Haley, flat pack or whatever, anything that holds a hydration bladder. If they made like a hard, plastic bladder that you can put in there, so that way you don't need to worry about it exploding, because you remember to turn your VPN off.
The VPN. Yeah, no, I always remember
it
because it gets really laggy when we start recording. Yeah, dude, I need to put like a post-it note, like, hey, turn the VPN off.
But dude,
I
so
was
I
literally
was
just
asking
talking
all
about
these different
VPNs.
people about this Camelback thing, like if anybody knows of anything. And I just got a bunch of people telling me like, just use a water bottle. I'm like, no, I don't want to use a water bottle for years, but I want to go back to using a Camelback. And I just don't want it to explode and completely soak my entire lower back and ass. So I ended up getting one of these Hydra Pack things. So I'll test it this weekend, see how it goes. But anyway, that's my rant.
Huh.
Seth, your turn.
That's crazy.
People are probably getting fucked over within Telegram, and they should probably evaluate their privacy and security, because OPSEC is cool and whatnot.
Do you prefer an Element Onion server?
No.
Okay. Good.
You're over here trying to sound smart. And it's
No,
just
dude,
like,
that's
no.
a real thing. There's, I actually, I can't remember if it's called Element or Session now, but like you can make,
So
from my
many.
understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but within Element or Session, it was one name and then they switched to the other, so I'm just gonna call it Element. But because I'm either right now or I'm right 2 years ago. You can use like their servers to host your own sort of. It's kind of like a Discord server.
Isn't it Element? I'm pretty sure it's Element.
Yeah, it's Element. Yeah. I think it used to be Session and then they changed it. But you make it like which from my understanding is just like your own hosted server. So like nobody that's not on the server can see the contents of the server. But like I said, it's kind of it's kind of annoying to do, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean that's great, assuming that you know how to configure shit. If you don't know how to set stuff up, you're probably just gonna set it up wrong, which is
What I'm gonna do.
Bots are, yeah.
I'm
Like
just
if
not
you-
going to set it up. I'm doing the Bin Laden. I just have a network of couriers.
I mean,
pigeons don't talk.
You can't torture a pigeon.
Dude,
you just pull its feathers off one by one.
So one of my old gunnies, he was telling me the story about how when they were in Fallujah, they just got like really bored at a certain point, so they would just do weird things to try to kill the time. They were they had a thing where they would just like throw flashbangs at each other randomly for fun. Did it to somebody that was like, and hold on, I'm taking my hoodie off at the same time of me talking, and I bought this hoodie in 2014. I'm surprised it even still fits, but I won't let it die.
Too big now.
Yeah, so they like at each other. They had these like funny ass games that they would play. Said that one time they went in, they were on like went through this, and there was this cage full of doves that they bought. It was either doves or pigeons, and so he bought it for like, I don't know. He probably bought like 6 or 7 for like $2, and he was like, "All right, whatever. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these, but I bought them." And they went back that, you know, when they're all done with their patrol and everything, he just carried the whole time. They go back, and he said that he took an incendiary grenade and he threw it at them, and they were like, he said they basically looked like a cartoon where they, you know, you fry a bird and it looks like the chicken. He said it just completely incinerated these things. He said that what they did one time too was they took, I can't remember the exact number. He said I think it was upwards of like 11 or something, but they took like 11 ammo cans filled with water stacked on top of each other, and they dropped an incendiary grenade down and went straight to the bottom and like just boiled all of it. Like you talking about just how scary those things.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I can't.
Isn't that what IWA is about to start selling?
Thermite, yeah, allegedly.
Wait, really?
I mean, you can buy a breach
like
pen and
smoke
just
banned or something.
Yeah, they got them unbanned.
Well, yeah, they got their smokes banned, and then their legal team was like, "Yeah, no, actually, get fucked. We don't think this applies to us, even though the ATF paperwork calls out our models specifically." And then they just continued selling them.
Yeah, because
fuck it, I don't care.
I couldn't remember what the company was that made the good smokes, and you know, you just reminded me. But I was looking at, I don't want to buy him just out of principle of what the name is. It literally says gay in the name, so why would I buy them?
It says gay in the name.
It says gay in the name.
I'm also a.
You're also gay in the name?
No. Fuck. Jesus Christ. I'm a fucking otaku or whatever. So I don't agree with Enola Gay. Punish the Japanese.
Is otaku
I don't know, man. I'm sorry.
something with the food in your mouth?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Oh, you could have just said that.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so what's a good alternative to Telegram?
Fucking talking to someone in person.
God, impossible.
That sounds terrible. I would rather just not. I would rather just be compromised.
I mean,
okay. So if I list out things, I want you to tell me if they're good or not. Okay, let's start easy. WhatsApp.
Okay. Arguably good if you're.
Wait, what was the first one? I was opening up my window.
WhatsApp. If you're a normie, it's probably good enough. But understand that Zuckerberg definitely has all of your data.
Oh yeah. I mean that's always been kind of an interesting argument in the sphere. It's like it's the same problem when people talk about DJI. It's like, oh well, the Chinese, the PLA have your data, and it's like, yeah, dude, but I mean, like my adversaries are, you know, the Somalian pirates or fucking cartel dudes or, you know, the HOA. So I don't know if that's going to be applicable.
If you're gonna go full send and you're like, I don't care if the PLA has my information, then go to Alibaba and get some of those Yove drones, some of the fixed wing drones with like the 8-hour fly time, 45-pound payload.
Fuck it. We're gonna get some Alibaba Lancets.
Throw that bitch in loiter. The civilian JTAC is emerging.
You literally just have a civilian Reaper drone. It's got LiDAR and thermal on it, can track a vehicle at 60 miles an hour. Like, get fucked.
Cool. I'd give up traffic tickets. That'd be the first thing I'd do.
Drop them.
And just send them stills of the feed. Just like their car on like a really like blurry, like like 340 fucking resolution thermal. It's like, yeah,
dude, the website has it is actually used by the PLA. Like you can buy them off Alibaba and get them here. So
I want to know if someone's
do
bought
that
one.
if you wanted to.
Has someone bought one?
Probably not.
somebody's
I think
bought
they're
one.
like $35,000 a pop, and you got to buy 2.
You have to buy 2?
Yeah. Alibaba's minimum order is 2, so you got to buy 2 of these bitches and then wait like a year.
I don't even know if they're good.
I
gotta buy
no.
2. Yeah, $70,000 in fucking Chinesium fucking Predator drone.
Hey,
It'd be
but
cool
you know
if they
what?
deliver
They're
it and it comes with payload. Like it's just got like a couple rockets strapped to it. Oh shit!
Yeah, you just get it, and all of a sudden you are the apex predator of your area because you have fucking air support. Police try to pull you over. Like, the fuck are you gonna do? I've got air support.
Fuck yeah, dude.
You've got a helicopter that's cute. I've got 2 reefer drones.
Okay, so you're telling me that I can plan a foreign invasion on WhatsApp?
Yeah, how do you
I
think?
mean, I wouldn't. Dude, with a 45-pound payload, you just send in the little child IED bombers.
You can send in the child soldiers that you stole with one from Uganda.
Yeah, fuck.
Coney 2024.
Okay, so who's better? Who's better, the Alibaba Predator drone or like a Temu quadcopter?
If you're just trying to like take people out, definitely the Temu quadcopter. But if you're trying to like
turn it on,
yeah. If you're trying to like do like any type of observation though, definitely the drone. Like from where I'm at, I could take one of those drones and literally go all the way down to the border, like down to the Mexico-US border, and then turn around and come back to where I'm at. Or I could go all the way up to fucking Oklahoma and back on like a single tank.
I've seen Sicario too. I know how it works.
I haven't.
Yeah, of course you have. I don't know. I don't even know why I bring up movies anymore. You haven't seen a damn thing, dude. Like, not a single thing.
Somebody called me out and said I probably haven't seen Platoon from last episode, but I have seen Platoon. I've seen it multiple times.
What's another movie you've seen? I'm sure it's going to be something
Lord of the
you've
Rings.
seen. Okay, that's fine. Fair.
Black Hawk Down.
Okay.
The Hunted with Benicio.
Tommy Lee Jones?
I've seen.
That's the one with Tommy Lee Jones where he's got the tracker knife.
Yeah, that's
he
where
fights,
the
Benicio Toro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go into knife autism. Okay. So WhatsApp is debatably good, or at least debatably competent. I mean, of course, if you're against the U.S. government, like there is no winning.
Right. I mean, if you just want to like save some data, you want to like ask your mom to pick you up some snacks from the grocery store because you don't leave your basement, then like WhatsApp's fine.
Me.
Shawshank.
Oh, that's good.
Have you seen Drop?
He's opening up the can. Yeah, so
it's a LaCroix.
Okay, I don't care. The thing that we were talking about right before we were waiting for Gio to finish blowing up his turlet was about like within Telegram. So I was bringing up that. So like I use Telegram because I prefer Telegram over Signal just because typically have to have somebody's phone number unless you create like a Google VoIP and then use that. And like that's what I did with my Signal number. So like my Signal account doesn't have my actual phone number with it. It kind of throws people off trying to talk to just normie people with it. And then they're like, oh, I can't find you. And you're like, yeah, okay. You got to add this number instead. But then I never used that number outside of setting up the Signal. So after like a certain amount of time, Google's just like, hey, we turned off your phone list anymore. So text won't get forwarded to your email address anymore.
Right.
But I preferred Telegram just because you don't need somebody's number. You can hide it. And then also I do like and all that, which is kind of like I don't know. That's a pretty smooth brain take. That's not like a mindset, but I'm not concerned with security, just because of the fact, like, if you don't paint a target on your back, then the likelihood of somebody attempting to go into your chat is low. Once you start actually giving people a reason to find stuff or look for stuff is when they're going to do it. And so the other thing too is that with Telegram, so this might be a bad take, so tell me if this is a bad take. So if you are doing something questionable in the States and you're talking to your friends on Telegram and you have a group chat, so it can't be encrypted, like you had said, but all the servers are like the likelihood of somehow getting intercepted because it's not encrypted by like agencies or whatever.
So the reality is whatever traffic you send is going to go over US. Technically it's by your ISP, but it's going to go over US based infrastructure. So like whether that's a cell phone tower or your ISP or what the fuck ever, like the highest level of encryption that's in transit encryption that like civilians have access to is TLS 1.3. And TLS 1.3 can absolutely be broken by the federal government. Like I work with guys that are former NSA, and like they can't tell me stuff, but also like they laugh at certain stuff that's like, why is that funny? And you eventually put it together. Like you are not secure, or you don't have privacy from the federal government. If you wanted to be like, if you were really going to do some shit like that, your best bet is getting a homeless man to go into like Walmart or someplace, fucking buy you a prepaid phone, use the prepaid phone number to register a Signal account. That way it doesn't go away. The prepaid number won't be associated with you, and then you never power on the prepaid phone at the same location that can be associated with you. So like you don't power on at home, you never take it with you in the car, you put it in like a Faraday bag, and that's like your emergency phone. And then whatever phone you use for Signal, you would also have to do the same thing with. You can't use it at any place that can be associated with you. So no work, no home, no transit. Like essentially you can use it out in the fucking woods. Like if you're really trying to be like OPSEC super good, that's like top level. If you're not planning like nation state level stuff, then there's more options that you have. But like I'm down here in Central Texas. The cartels aren't too terribly far away. So they don't have all of that capability, but they're not fucking far off. Like it's not hard to jam wireless or to go after some of these infrastructure nodes. Setting up your own like GSM mobile cell tower isn't hard. There's guys.
As far as I know, they've done it quite a bit for quite a while.
Yes,
like
they have.
I read a novel, and the name escapes me, and it was okay. The dude who wrote it's whatever, but in it, it's fiction. But he brings up how the cartels in the novel completely had their own parallel but separate like cell phone service that they would use, and that was their internal comms. And so
there's a cybersecurity conference that happens pretty much every year called Black Hat. And I think back in 2008 there was a Black Hat conference where they actually set up their own cellular network, and everyone could connect their own cell phone to the cellular network as like a proof of concept of certain hacker type shit. But yeah, like it's not hard, and it doesn't take a lot of money, and it honestly doesn't even take a whole lot of brain power. Like a lot of the stuff that like people within, I'd say, our persuasion would be interested in doing. There's guides for it. There's YouTube videos for it. Nothing that you're doing is entirely new.
No, and I get that, but would you say that would be more or less capable than someone setting up like a MANET system, for example? It might just be a different strokes type.
Yeah, it's different strokes for different folks. Honestly,
that reminds me.
That's a great one.
Like it doesn't like.
Yeah.
If you set up an alternate cell phone infrastructure, can also, it can be easier to get like normie adoption, right? So like if you set up an alternate cell phone network, assuming that it's not interfering with the active cell phone networks, you could have like when AT&T towers go down in your area, you configure your phone and like say your mother-in-law's phone or your wife's phone to switch over to this other network, and ta-da, you still have fucking comms. And then you don't have to buy a whole bunch of new hardware because you already have a cell phone. So that is an option. It's different, and it's not as secure because there's more exploits for shit like that.
Really?
Yeah, but it is an option, right? Radios have a fair bit of security associated with them, and generally they're simpler than phones, which is a pro and a con. But when it comes to a security context, generally the first recommendation that we make when we're getting people to secure their environments is turn off unnecessary services, close unnecessary ports. Like if you don't need it, don't bring it.
So I've heard too that any like UHF radios, so if you use radios between 380 and 470 megahertz or whatever in the UHF realm, that they still bounce off of cell phone towers, and they can still, the signals and the traffic can still be intercepted by cell phone towers. Is that true? Or because I've never heard of that, but
I heard it one time. I honestly couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you. I'd be taking a guess if I gave you an answer one way or the other.
That's fair. Yeah, because
I don't know enough about the topic.
It's one of those things where it was kind of one of those things where how you were saying, like basically if you use an electronic device, there's a way that it can be detected and tracked and stuff, and like
right.
I remember that there was a clip that I had seen on like YouTube Shorts, and it was from the Sean Ryan show, and it was when he was talking to that like tranny Navy SEAL and saying that JSOC Intel assets or whatever, that even if somebody's phone overseas was turned off, like they can still listen in on it and they can still listen to your conversations.
Yep.
Which is pretty
so I know guys that have done that, so like that's 100% confirmed. The conspiracy theory is that's one of the reasons why like new phones you can't take the battery out of, because if you take the battery out of it, then get fucked, you can't listen.
I heard a thing that they had like hidden batteries in cell phones too that could keep.
Well, yeah, I mean, hidden batteries. I think a more accurate description would probably be like large capacitors, right?
Oh, okay.
A capacitor,
there you go.
Yeah, a large capacitor will keep like very low draw functions live for an extended period of time. It's one of the reasons why like years ago, if your computer got really fucked up, or like your laptop, you might have to take the battery out, unplug the power cable, hit the power button a couple of times to discharge the capacitors, and then put the battery back in and plug it back in, and it will work. Because that shit is very real. And like a good example of this nowadays is like if you have a laptop that's using like BitLocker encryption, and you decide to open up that laptop, you'll see what's called a CMOS battery. It looks like a little watch battery on the motherboard, and the whole purpose behind that is to keep the BIOS system of the computer powered, because if the BIOS system goes off, then the computer loses its time. And if the computer loses its time and the computer has gone off, then
Y2K all over again.
Whoa. No.
Something like that. So
Yet again, in the age of technology, the man with a sheet of paper and a pencil is king.
That's something that's correct. Funny too, is like there are a lot of older methods of having, before like encryptions were a thing with like World War II radio traffic, right? Is that they had certain methods of passing messages that couldn't be, they knew that they were going to be intercepted, so that they would just, like the code talkers is a common thing, but I doubt that anybody's going to learn like whatever language that they had. I can't remember.
Navajo.
Navajo.
Yeah,
like,
Navajo.
So I can't remember what, but is a big thing too. Like for
Yep.
military radio traffic, like if you have, you can have brevity codes for certain key checkpoints, so that way you don't need to say like we have passed objective Bravo, or you can whatever the brevity term is, if it's a sports team or whatever, or Coca-Cola or like a pop/soda, whatever part of the country you're in, or whatever.
Yeah, like
Fago.
yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Fago.
Yeah,
one survivor did that at the beginning.
Whoop whoop for Fago.
I forgot
brevity
Juggalos were a thing.
is that you? Yeah,
God, it's reminded me.
dude, you need to watch the Juggalo documentary. I can't believe you've never watched
I'd
that.
rather
That's something
not.
I've even watched.
I'm not watching that.
It's
I'm not watching that.
very entertaining.
I don't want
There's
to.
a lot of Whippets and Mountain Dew and Fago and trailers and kids with rat tails.
You'd expect nothing less.
So all the acolytes of like the Insane Clown Posse, all the fucking fuck. You just said the name of what they are, and I completely
Juggalos.
forgot it.
Juggalettes.
Juggalos, okay. Yeah, dude, they're 100% poised to be like a post-apocalyptic cult type shit. Like
Oh,
they are an adversary. Like they just show up and they're all just wearing their face paint and their stupid little necklaces. And they're just immediately
Imagine-
hostile. You just have to kill them.
Whenever
Imagine
I
how
see-
easy the PID is if you're wearing face paint or not.
No, well,
Just
they're
get
like,
dropped in the fucking street.
it'd be like a Grand Theft Auto gang. It'd be like a gang in Grand Theft Auto. They just all dress the same. They all look the same. Like you know. You just look at them and you're like, wow, you're a dude dressed in all purple. I wonder who the fuck you could be.
What's the what's that show or it's a movie where like all the guys it's like a post-apocalyptic thing, but they have like the crazy cars that are all souped up and
Mad Max.
Mad
Yeah,
Max.
Max, but I was confusing it with Mad Men, which I haven't seen. But anyway, whenever I see like pictures or references to Mad Max, I just think of Juggalos.
I don't blame you.
I
mean,
can't
especially-
see like a picture of somebody with the Mad Max, not just think like they're on their way to an ICP concert.
All right, homeless.
You're probably not that far off.
Homeless or Juggalo? You just get shown a slideshow.
Are you saying which would I rather be or which would I rather
No,
interact
you have
with?
to identify them. Sounds
Oh,
like a
to
impossible
identify.
challenge.
Well,
I know there's gonna be one
homeless,
like Juggalo, like
there was a
freaking
game.
out listening to this.
I hear Juggalo listening to this. Like
Oh, I don't care either.
this isn't for you unless you're trying to. Wait, this is not a Fago. This podcast is not in support of Fago. Which, funny enough, like
This
I
is
used
a
to work.
Coca-Cola podcast.
Yeah, no. So I used to work at the last place I worked at. It was like we had like a huge building, but they didn't have enough stuff to fill the one side of the building, so they would rent it out to Coca-Cola, and they would stack pallets of LaCroix and Fago, just pallets and pallets of the shit. And one of the forklift drivers one time just like randomly popped in and was asking if we wanted a bunch of cans of whatever, and we were all like, no, we're good. And he was like, all right. He goes, like once a week I just intentionally drop a pallet so everybody could get the free stuff that falls off of it because they can't sell it.
Jesus.
And then
Oops!
and
I
then-
dropped the pallet.
later he ended up getting fired, and then the following week he was working at our place as a forklift driver. So he was in the same thing, with a little fence. But yeah, the
Nice.
like a very good way to pass information that only you guys will know. So I would
Right. Just
recommend your contingency plan or whatever to have a brevity code associated with certain things that are like,
All right,
I don't know.
right.
Oh,
Just
no, for sure.
don't mistake the use of brevity codes for security, because like I've heard some guys talk about like, oh well, if I do a radio transmission and it's only a second long, who's gonna be able to find that?
Oh no, you can find
Do I'm like, dude, you know computers are a fucking thing, right? Like, you're the computer doesn't care.
What do you
Well,
mean? You mean the state of the art peak of signals intelligence isn't just a dude sitting there on his phone with a fucking SDR or an RTL SDR plugged into it? You're telling me that isn't it?
Hey, he bought the little Pelican box for $450.
Yeah.
Dude.
No, something too that we were talking about briefly before was like the difference between privacy versus security.
Yep.
Which is kind of a big thing to take away with. We're like, you may not, like, I don't, brevity would really fall under, I guess, more so privacy. Because
because
somebody can, I don't know, but like the thing I've always taken into mind is that you can have the most secure in your computer. You can have everything as secure as possible, but if you leave it open and walk away to go take a dump, like your privacy is lost. Somebody can go in and access anything, or if you let somebody into your super secret onion server group chat, and then they end up just exporting
Screenshot.
all the chat logs and everything, like
Screen record.
Yeah, exactly.
Sitting in front of the laptop with a fucking digital, no, not even a digital camera. One of those wind-up film cameras that they used to sell at like Walgreens. The little yellow
the
and black
ICP
ones.
bumping in the background.
Yeah,
That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah. You're just scrolling the little wheel so it's primed, and then you just take a photo with the flash on too of the laptop screen.
I remember one time being at a hedge fund on Wall Street, and like the whole thing was like, get in from the outside. You got to bypass security on the ground floor, ride the elevator up to whatever floor, and then you got to get onto a computer. And was able to
Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we talking about different things? Never mind.
Yeah. But I showed up as a DoorDash guy and was able to talk the security guard into letting me up. Got in the elevator, went up, and then left food at the front desk, and then walked past the front desk and just found some guy's computer. Just fucking, he got up, walked away. And I just sit down, and someone walks up to me. They're like, "Hey, who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm shadowing so and so today." They're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, he just stepped away from lunch. Do you need me to call him?" I'm like, no, that's fine. I'll wait for him. They're like, "Oh, okay." And I just sat at this guy's computer for like a fucking hour, just doing all kinds of malicious shit to his computer, and then fucking left before he came back. And I go back to my hotel room, have like all these fucking docs.
You could have done? You
could have changed
my custom ICP logo.
Change his background. Do the whole tessellated image thing, where instead of it's just one big image on his fucking wallpaper, it's just like a bunch of small little like Juggalo fucking pictures.
Dude, we did that.
Change all the icons to different Juggalo.
We did that too.
God, it's
coworker.
What do you do to that computer? I guess you like just blow it up with the IWA thermite. That's what it's for. Is to just destroy the Juggalo.
We used to do the funniest thing
in case of Clown Posse.
we used to if somebody had their computer unlocked, we would just change like their wallpaper and do just stuff like that. But our one friend, he left his computer unlocked, and what I did like the most malicious thing. So the first thing I did, because he kept his icons on his paper, he had an order that he knew what it was, but nobody else in the world knew where stuff was. So I just changed how it was sorted, and it fucked them all up. And then what we would do, or what I did, was I went on and I took this picture, because like there was a certain drive that you could go into, like a network thing that had everybody's employee picture on it. And so he took his, or no, he had his on Teams, like his Teams icon, so it's already small. Saved already a really small picture and super pixelated. And I went on to like a deep fry generator and I changed it super deep fried it. I made that as wall, and it was just like blown up and deep fried shit. And like at one point, because he would just never look at his desktop, like he'd just have windows open and do stuff. And he said at one point he was typing something into the Windows search bar on the bottom, and he typed in like DE or whatever, like he was just typing fast, and he thought that he saw for a split second the word fried. He's like, that was weird. Like, emulate it or redo it or anything. He's like a week or two later, he's sharing a screen in a meeting, and he goes to minimize all the windows to pull something else up, and he does it, and it's just the super blown up picture of his face as his desktop wallpaper.
No, my promotion.
And he was in a meeting, and like we would take that same picture and we would tile it, so it was like just his face. Yeah. Don't leave your computer unlocked because I'm
pull your
I don't have
fucking
malicious
cat card
intent.
out.
I have mysterious
Just
intent.
I know one of you is listening. Pull your cat card out when you walk away from the computer. It is not hard.
Yeah, or else I'll draw a mustache on it, and then you'll be the laughing stock of the office.
I'm gonna walk there and cut it in half with a pair of scissors. Ruin your fucking week.
I used to like changing the login sound on the computers, changing it to like the Pornhub intro or some shit.
Very
and turning
cool.
people's speakers all the way up, so when they log in, you get a nice Pornhub intro at 8 o'clock.
So you are a pen tester. We didn't really give you like a proper intro, which is super funny because we're like 40 minutes in. Okay, so you are a penetration tester.
It was all
yes, I penetrate things. I find the back doors and penetrate things.
Correct.
Yes.
All right. So you're a sodomite. All right, we got that. So, when you're doing your job, what information is it like? Are you given like, okay, so we want like this, and this to be pulled off of his computer, or are you just going in there and doing stuff just to say, hey, I could fucking do this?
Yeah. So it depends on the type of engagement. So generally, if we're doing like what's called a red team, which Gio, I know you'll be familiar with.
Yeah, just in different circumstances.
Correct. We get like specific objectives. We're like, hey, we want you to target this database. We want you to pull out this customer information. We want you to get these passwords. Then we'll go after that. Most of the time, we're just doing a regular penetration test, which is just how far can we penetrate into the environment. So whether that be like externally sending you those fucking phishing emails, calling you pretending to be Microsoft and asking for your password, don't fucking do that. I don't know why people still do that, but for some reason, all I have to do is call you and ask for your password, and you fucking give it to me. You're an idiot if you do that. Just find whatever you can, and sometimes you find really cool stuff. Like you find like the passwords to like the cash deposit boxes, or you find armored car delivery schedules, or you find like passports for all of the employees. Really, really fun stuff. Just kind of depends on what the client wants.
Cool.
Anybody fired?
So
like you just did something.
I try not to think about it.
Oh, you probably get a fuck ton of people fired.
Most of the time it's not anyone's fault. Like within the organization, most of the time it's like, hey, Microsoft kind of fucked you guys, and you guys didn't change these default settings, so we decided to fuck you because Microsoft fucked you. When we do like the social engineering, sometimes people get fired. Like, not gonna lie, if I tell you, hey, I called and spoke with John said I'm allowed to be here, and then you don't call John and you instead decide to call Randy because that's Randy's department, you're probably gonna be fired because you didn't call John.
Yeah, I mean, that's a funny thing in like any company too, is just lying. Lying is a pretty great way to get fucking fired. People do it all the time. So, what is probably...
I didn't go look at the employee compensation records. What do you mean? Sir, we have the log. Oh.
I did not fill every toilet. I did not fill every toilet in the building with a very small amount of HME. That was not me.
Dude,
baguette.
I remember one guy. So I was internal security at a company, and one time we had a guy who worked for a direct competitor. He joined the company, worked for like 2 weeks, and then decided to just quit. And we're like, oh, I wonder what the fuck this could be. Just straight up corporate espionage. And we looked through the logs, and from day one, this guy had just been going into all of the internal files, copying the internal files, and putting them on his fucking Gmail account, like just putting them in Google Drive. We're like, dude, can you not? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then we like give him like, here are all of the logs, and he's like, oh, well, that's an invasion of my privacy. And we're, what? What do you mean that's an invasion of your privacy? Yeah, he ended up being sued into the ground. Yeah, again, just assume that everything electronic is being observed and is compromised everywhere all the time.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm always curious, like if I'm at work and I pull up like, Telegram or Discord or something on my work computer, like how, one, is anybody monitoring, see like,
so if you work in like any type of like medium to large size organization, and even small companies, no one's really going to care. No one really gives a shit. Like being on the internal security teams, no one gives a fuck. Like, okay, cool. You went and you spent 8 hours today watching YouTube. Did your job get done? Yeah, cool. Like unless the powers that be are out to fire you, you're probably fine. Yeah, like there's all kinds of fucking weird shit that happens within corporate environments. If you are trying to evade a corporate environment, though, virtual machines, great way to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not condoning that, but if you have like VMware Player, which is free to download, or
hold on, let me write that down. What is that?
VMware Player. It's
cool.
So it's a virtual machine infrastructure. So
I have no use for it, but I mean, I just like to know stuff.
He just likes to practice.
So you can use VMware.
I do need.
You can use VMware or VirtualBox with any type of operating system and just set up like a whole new Windows device on that device, and then like you can install whatever you want on there. Like you can just evade a lot of security controls if you really wanted to.
Log into the boss's email on the virtual machine while he's using his, and just edit the email he's composing right at that moment.
So
yeah,
what?
I mean,
I had asked you this like right before we started, but what's your opinion on like I see a lot of people that are kind of in like taking over the cybersecurity online realm in this kind of circle is shilling very hard for Graphene OS. What's your take on that? And like, is it worthwhile doing? What would I gain to benefit from that, or anything compared to just like using?
So Graphene OS doesn't have really have like an overlord to my understanding. So iMessage is going to be viewable by Apple. Whatever the fuck they say, iMessage is going to be viewable by Apple because we're just assuming that everything is compromised, because that's a pretty safe assumption 99% of the time. If you're going to use Android, Google's going to see your shit. If you're going to use WhatsApp, Facebook's going to see your shit. Like big tech has a pretty good grip on pretty much all of forms of communication, including like Twitter or X. Elon's going to see that shit. So you just assume that everything's
through your chat logs while he's sitting on the toilet in the morning.
I mean, if you're talking some shit, yeah, probably. Be like, oh, guess what? You're banned. But yeah, I mean, you just always assume that environments are compromised. Like people didn't know that the NSA, or people didn't publicly know that the NSA was pretty much fucking everywhere back in 2017. But when the NSA got fucking hacked by that cyber group, and one of their cyber weapons became available on the internet, ransomware went fucking everywhere. Like the UK health system went down, and a couple of people died because the health system went down. It shut down like the world pretty much for a couple of days. Yeah, because there's all kinds of vulnerabilities that people just don't know about. We call those 0-day vulnerabilities, and that's why you do a defense in depth. You try to layer on security controls. That way, when those 0-day vulnerabilities pop up, hopefully you don't get fucked.
In your opinion, do you think there are more state or non-state like actors that would be doing stuff like that?
0-day vulnerabilities, or like just going after people in general?
Just going after people in general. I mean, it's probably numbers-wise, it's probably non-state
It's probably very
actors.
few.
Yeah. So going after people wise, like your average person is probably more at risk of just like the random fucking guy from India or Nigeria.
No, and I
Like, social
understand that.
media.
I'm saying like the dudes going after like the big fish, the fucking 0-day
Oh,
vulnerabilities.
the
that sort of
so
shit.
yeah, so most of the time the governments are going to be the ones to find those. There's a fair number of people outside the government that find those, but those are relatively limited, at least in my experience. There's a couple of vulnerabilities that came out pretty recently regarding like GitHub and code and compromising organizations via GitHub and development pipelines. And that was done by private people. But most of the time, the government's going to already have all the 0 days because the government has the funds and the ability to pay people to go after the big fish. And if you're like in my line of work, right, I work a regular week, work a regular work week, but I've got to go be billable for clients. Clients aren't just going to pay me to sit there and hammer on something that might not ever pan out. So like your private people are significantly more limited in terms of the hours that they can dedicate to going after like a 0-day vulnerability.
Yeah. They would just have to be about it and just kind of like self-fund and be driven to do it.
Correct. Yeah. They have to be about it. There's some organizations that are super big that have security researchers, and those security researchers get paid well, and that is their job. But for every one of those, there's 100 just regular penetration testers. So again, like the numbers are really skewed, and most of the time when those 0 days are found, those 0 days are not really made publicly available.
Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of you having like a nuke. You're not going to tell everyone like, oh yeah, dude, by the way, fuck your whole banking network.
Right. And so then those get reserved for like very special engagements. So if you're doing a pen test against like Google or Amazon and you found a vulnerability within their cloud environment, you might just wait and hold on to that vulnerability until you're doing their pen test and then just fuck their shit up. Because in the course of a pen test, it's cool. And then you still get your bug bounty. You still make all kinds of good money. There's a lot of people that would do that. It's not the right thing to do, and it's not the appropriate thing to do if you go by like industry standards. But I know several people that have like some pretty significant 0 days that if we're let out, shit would be fucked for a couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's your?
So how did you get into? No, fuck you. I started asking first.
No, you didn't. You can ask.
No, I said it.
Because I'm a nice guy.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I gotta just write it down so I don't forget it.
All right, write it down quick. Just write it down.
I already forgot it.
God damn it.
Just start talking, dude.
Okay, so what got you into penetration testing? Like, how did you fall into that pipeline? Because as far as I understand, you can't just go to school for some shit like that.
I mean,
well,
yeah,
okay. Put it into
essentially.
perspective. When you started, was there a school for it, or was it a very common thing?
No, it was not a very common thing. So I'm originally from a small town in Louisiana. Louisiana has like fucking dog shit in it. So shout out to all the homies from Orion Training Group in Louisiana. But yeah, no, there's not shit out there. So I got involved in IT. I was fortunate enough to cause enough trouble in high school that an IT contractor was like, "Hey, I'll hire you if you like stop fucking shit up, because every time you fuck shit up, I have to come out here and do this work, and it'd be cool if you could just like not fuck shit up." So I was able to get on with an IT contractor like right out of high school. I did IT work for about 2.5 years, and then I found an organization. Well, organization's a loose term. I found an organization that did like really cheap penetration tests. Like most penetration tests are tens of thousands of dollars, and these guys were just cranking them out for like $2,000 a pop. Like they were dog shit quality. However, they would hire anyone, And so I had a couple of industry standard certs, and they're like, cool, you look like you probably won't break shit. So they hired me. I worked for them for like 9 months, got a lot of experience, got a pretty high level certification, and then was able to leverage that to get into a bigger place. And then I started pen testing hedge funds, and like BlackRock, State Street, did some work for them like less than a year after getting into the industry, which it's kind of fucking crazy to think about. But yeah, from there, it's just kind of floating around and going wherever the dollars take me.
Of course. That's funny. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How physical does your job get in terms of like, I don't know, like, so obviously you have to get to a computer terminal. You know, you said it already. Like,
Yep.
you know, usually it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Like, oh yeah, dude, Joe said I could be here, and then just walk inside.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, most of the time, like post COVID, we're pretty much doing everything remote. Like most places are like, yeah, fuck the physical stuff. For the places that do still want the physical stuff, generally the physical stuff turns into like a week or 2 weeks on site, and you're just kind of going full bore the whole time. Generally, it's like multi-facility engagements. So the last one that I did was Maryland, DC, and New York. It was 6 facilities in 2 weeks. And so we had to like case out the facilities, find the guards, find the security cameras, attack the wireless networks, develop like a cover, a pretext for us to access the facility, develop like artifacts around the pretext, and then go inside and try to talk our way in. We were successful, but that doesn't always work out like that. And then we got a shift to after hours access of the facility, which is inherently more dangerous, but not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
What happens if you get caught?
Hopefully you don't get shot or go to jail. But yeah, no. In all seriousness, we have documents called get out of jail free cards. So it's essentially an abbreviated version of the contract that just outlines who you are, who the authorizing party is, contact information for them, and in the event that you're stopped, you try to talk your way out of the situation. But if you can't, then you present that. If it's police, you just immediately present it. Obviously, present it slowly so you don't get mag dumped, and then hopefully you don't have like an Iowa situation where you go to jail for 2 weeks, because that happened like 3-4 years ago. We had 2 pen testers that went on site. They broke into a county courthouse, and the county sheriff showed up and was like, oh yeah, this was authorized by the state, not by the county. Get fucked. And then they arrested them and held them in jail for like 2 weeks until the state got them out. So that was
So if the state never got them out.
Be on a t-shirt, free my boy. What's your take on like so like a lot of people so obviously like I'm still in the military, so I still have, you know, stuff where things will come up with concerns with like, oh, you know, near peer fighting, China and Russia and stuff can intercept that, which we've seen pictures of like Russia pretty dog shit. And I personally don't think that China would be any better. But I don't know, like, at work, how much pen testing you do from the perspective of a foreign adversary trying to figure out, you know, because you said stuff. So if you're economic terrorism is something that's a common thing, so it would make sense that, you know, these real big financial institutions and stuff would want to figure out if, or, you know, even like the you know, state or like a national asset would want to hire somebody to try to see if they can basically dump the economy by exploiting IT security.
Right. Yeah. So that goes into So every threat actor is going to have a different set of capabilities. Most of them are pretty similar. So generally we talk about like TTPs from a cyber perspective. So you'll have a threat actor that an organization essentially wants to go against. And so we'll do research on a threat actor's TTPs because there's a lot of data on different threat actors. There's actually people embedded within the cyber threat actors. That's how we get some of our TTP data. So there might be a dude that's in China that sells TTP data to US based organizations. That way US interests have information on like what China's TTPs are. So we'll do research on the TTPs, and then just depending on what the organization wants to test, we'll then access and test networks based off the TTPs. I mean, generally that won't be in scope for like a regular penetration test, but when we talk about like red teaming and it's just fucking balls to the wall, then yeah, everything's in scope. And you'll have an organization that says, hey, we want to go against Evil Panda, which is CrowdStrike's name for one of the threat actors. They try not to give them cool names anymore because, well, it just encourages them. So maybe you have to go do some research on Evil Panda, and you find out that they use like these couple of tools. You find out they use this type of exploitation kit. They use these programming languages, and then that's essentially your toolkit for the engagement. And you just kind of go up against the organization with that toolkit, and then you document how they passed or failed during different segments of the test.
Yeah, because like it's interesting how everything is becoming sort of like remote. And we have for like doing close air support and targeting stuff, we have these tablets that you can't even connect to Wi-Fi. Like they have like kind of a Marine Corps version of ATAC on them, and they're just like Galaxy, like Samsung Galaxy tablets and phones, and like a new operating, or no, I think that they still have the Samsung, but I think it was like a special contract.
Yeah.
When you think about moving something, you don't have all these weird animations and bloatware that Samsung likes to give you.
Right.
But yeah, so like
probably the same.
Wi-Fi, there's no data. There's a GPS but like you have to update your location with it. So if you move, you have to check what your location is with like an external GPS, plug it into this, it'll drop your cursor in, but it still knows which way you're facing because of like the internal compass or whatever. But it's pretty interesting because we'll use it, like you can connect it to a radio and you can do digital casts with it, so you can type in like all of the targeting data and then just send it to the air. You had brought this up before too about like direction finding with like a small blip of data versus a large transmission that you're doing. But that's kind of what one of the purposes is behind it, is that you have all that's going to an aircraft versus because also imagine that overall it's less bandwidth than like analog voice. At least I've been told this much. Most of my like knowledge with this stuff does come from radios, but yeah, so you can just send like a little blip of data to a bird, and then they send it back to do their readbacks, and then you do like a quick correlation to make sure that the building that you want to drop a bomb on is in fact the correct building, that they, you guys are on the same page, and then they just drop it and it's all good from there. But it's like a couple of just small little packets of data versus like a whole voice transmission. So it is interesting like how changing from a military standpoint to be more near peer versus like, oh well, it's no problem because we're just going to go bomb dirt farmers that don't, they're looking at us via night vision through like a digital camera that they bought on the in the market or something like that. So I'm curious to like I think that a lot of people naturally want to think that the first the prime digitally to them is a actor kind of, like whatever 3-letter agency, just looking to see what people are doing, seeing their data, because obviously your phone is on US based software and servers and all that, and everything you're doing is going to go off of US cell phone towers and everything like that. So people naturally assume that that's going to be the primary like adversary, but I don't know if it would be so from my understanding too, the FBI, like the main bit is like Islamic extremists that are homegrown, like dudes that convert to Islam and become like Islamic extremists in the US. That's, from my understanding, that's kind of their main thing that they're looking for. So like, do you think that it would make more sense for people to try to take precautions on, like against like a US based agency, or something for, someone's going to try to shut down cell service for, everybody or something? I don't know any of this stuff, so I don't know if either of those are realistic or not.
Yeah, I mean, the most common threat that anyone's going to face is just like the run of the mill criminal, right? The run of the mill like cyber criminal. Hey, I'm from Microsoft, or
give me your
email
social
compromise
security number.
is a big one. Right. Yeah. Essentially, I mean, pretty much everyone's social security number is on the internet. You just gotta know where to look. The simple fact of the matter is that most of the time you're not going to be targeted by a government agency. If you are targeted by a government agency, you just kind of got to hope and pray that it's not the U.S. because like you can do some stuff to avoid the U.S. But you're going to spend probably more time and more money than it's worth to avoid the US. If you're really interested in trying to do that, you can look at the book by Kevin Mitnick, the privacy book that he wrote. He goes into some pretty in-depth detail, and he actually fucked over the FBI before fucking over the FBI was cool. So that's like the whole thing.
Well, I think too that just like
There's
if you think about what, like cause and effect, if you have a state agency going against you seriously, like you probably did something wrong to make them look at you in the first place,
Yeah.
and then you continue to do stuff wrong for them to be like, okay, yeah, we're definitely getting edgy stuff on the internet isn't enough for anybody in the FBI or anything to look at you seriously.
Right. Well, and you gotta. I mean, well, the U.S. government does have an endless supply of money. All of this shit also costs money.
It's
So
just digital numbers, dude.
Yeah, money's fake and gay anyway.
Literally.
But most of the time, organizations are going to want to see some type of ROI. It's kind of the same logic, or I've been told that it's the same logic as like the IRS. The IRS doesn't go after you the first year that you commit tax fraud. They wait like 5 years and then they go audit you, because at that point it's probably actually worth their time to like collect all the fines, all the interest, all the fees, and everything for the last 5 years. So they're not going to do shit the first time that you post something edgy, or the second or the third, but it is noticed. Like there's massive troves of data collection, and you're just going to end up on a list, and eventually they will come looking for you, but that might be years down the road. Like if some shit pops off in like southern Texas, all of the people in Texas that have been posting edgy shit, guess what? You're gonna go be fucking looked at, dude, because you're now kind of in the hot seat. Yeah, it's just kind of whatever makes sense for the government at the time, and it might not always make sense to us.
Well, I think too that like an interesting how like because AI has been a thing for quite a while now, but I think that getting like exponentially larger to the point where it's becoming more readily used, or readily wouldn't be the more it wouldn't.
Yep.
Even with something like our internal AI, like, hey, look for these kinds of keywords, public things, and if you see somebody, actively doing this stuff for X amount of time a day, send me an email with their information, kind of thing, so that way you can just kind of wait,
right? Well,
and make a machine do all the work for you.
Yeah, but AI like that has existed for a long time. I mean, like
exactly.
back during Yeah, like back when the Patriot Act was like very big and new, and I mean we know from like the Snowden leaks that they already have keywords set up, right? The joke years ago was if you said bomb and Obama at the same time on a phone call, that they would start recording. Like, do you think that there's a person listening to every fucking phone call and they just hit the record button when that's said, or is that some type of automated learning? Like,
Yeah.
you call massive companies and the companies are intelligent enough, or the AI machines that answer the phone are intelligent enough to hear your words. To think that that's not happening is not really thinking the situation through to the end. I think there's a lot of buzz around AI right now just because of Chat GPT, but I mean AI has been around for a while. It is more prevalent, but
Well, yeah, I think that
there's not much more to go.
I think that it's with
If
the
you-
prevalence, it's becoming more widely looked at to be used by even smaller agencies, like maybe even local. Because jurisdiction is in terms of the tech world, but like I know too that, for example, if you're like an agent, just poking around, like if you're like in the extremist office or whatever department, if you start poking around on somebody's pages and stuff, you basically need to have doing is being monitored too for like invasion of privacy stuff. I guess it's pretty. You have to tiptoe around it. I know a guy that like I met him in kind of a personal thing and all that. And I was like asking questions because it was interesting. And obviously, I want to see like if it would be something that I should be worried about.
Hey man,
I don't
how?
being watched.
But
Hey man, how? Have you ever seen these names on any
Yeah.
of your searches?
hey, you probably know my
you
friend.
actually just met your handler.
No,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, just out of curiosity, like what do you guys look for as the primary threat? Like how I learned that like lone homegrown Islamic extremists are the main priority and the main focus of the FBI. Like the
Right.
guy that's, like I said, that's posting some edgy stuff, but has like a, decent job and a family and has a lot of stuff to lose if he were to do really dumb, looked at. And I think like, I don't really want to get into the whole thing on like, a lot of like mass shooters were known about beforehand potentially and all that stuff, because I don't know enough about it to speak on it. Like all you
Right.
see on that stuff is just like 4chan posts anyway that say it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, the reality is everyone's known beforehand.
oh
Like,
yeah,
like if one of us did something fucking crazy tomorrow, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we knew about him beforehand." Because
Yeah.
I mean,
They
I
have
don't
everyone's
have
data.
right.
well,
They have everyone's data.
realistically
Like,
too, we're probably all on automatic lists from firearms purchases and all this
for
other
sure.
stuff too. I know that I've got to be on a Chinese list because apparently the Chinese got data regarding like U.S. service members with a secret security clearance between like certain
shit.
years and stuff like that.
That's probably me too.
Yeah,
Right,
dude, we're
my
probably
bad.
our names are probably looking at each other on the.
There's a picture of there's just a little picture of both of us next to each other, like in a file. It's a fucking gigantic fucking warehouse in Beijing.
Yeah, and they
We have
edited
no
it to
idea.
make it look like we're holding hands.
I'm so gay. So fucking gay.
Yeah, dude, that would be terrible. That would be the worst thing ever.
No, it's AI, I swear.
No, but like kind of phones and security and all that is like I think that the problem is like people either look at it like kind of have the like doomer mindset of like, oh, well, doesn't be able to see everything, and then they're either going to take that and either want to stop trying to train or do whatever because they're like overly afraid of getting caught doing something, or they're just going to be like, well, everything I see is going to be noticed anyway and fuck it, and then they just go. I think that coming has like no IT security stuff. Like the most secure thing I do is like use IMS.
Yeah, I mean, if you're So to anyone that's going to be like all negative and doomer about it, if everyone stopped with that doomer mindset, it just makes it easier for the courageous people to be found. Like by having fucking a million autistic people screeching about how bad the current state of things is, it makes it harder for them to inventory and capture everything. If 900,000 of those million people decide it's not fucking worth it, then guess what? Those 100,000 people now get observed even fucking closer. Like even if you don't think that there's any point to it, you are actively providing electronic cover for those people that are still doing something. Like, I mean, if you're really of that doomer mindset, then just look at it like that. Like, even if you don't fucking do shit, you're just giving them another thing that they have to parse through, another thing that they have to collect, and another file that they have to read, trying to figure all this shit out. Because at the end of the day, even if a file gets flagged, it still has to be reviewed by a person. There's only so many people, and the more files that get flagged, just the longer it takes them to get through everything.
Boy, I sure hope they want to listen to every fucking Longhouse episode.
Dude, when my kid was born, I found the Longhouse podcast, and I literally just binged that shit.
Like, I'm so sorry for you.
Dude, your kid is gonna grow up to not doing good compared to the other kids in his age group. No, I don't know. It's funny because like I generally don't really listen to podcasts in general. I like there's so actually this is kind of an interesting thing to segue into. So so I used to listen to
Insane Clown Posse.
No, but they did have a lot of funny like little clips and snippets and funny things that they could put into the episodes that was always very entertaining. And there was one where it's this video. You can look it up on YouTube. It's like a 20-30 second video. It's one of the funniest videos, but it's this guy who's like freaking out about some sports game. He probably like a ton of it, just like screaming, and he's like, "I'm gonna be hanging from the bathroom," and he's got like this.
Oh, it's my favorite video.
Yeah, dude, I love that.
Fuck.
Yeah. Nothing. Dishes, nothing.
Dishes, nothing.
I'm gonna kill. But
you're gonna find me hanging in the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm gonna be hanging from the bathroom. But no, there's been a thing where like a lot of these people have been like doxed and stuff for who they are and all that, and it's a lot of it too is because they have like right-wing views and so they're these like Antifa pages are finding who they are and doxing them and whatnot, which at that point it's kind of pointless because it's not like you can go to their employer and be like, hey, look what these guys are doing, because most of these guys at this point either make enough money in the online realm for what they are doing, or they're self-employed and kind of have their ducks in a line in case it happens. Like very at this point very few of those people are working that's going to frown upon that. But anyway, I think that from looking at a lot of like recent stuff or just in general like stuff of people getting doxxed, it seems like a lot of it is very like careless stuff. Like there's guys that'll do like with their name on it and that are linked to their business and stuff like that, so it's public, so you can go on and see the people's names and addresses of where they're registering stuff. And I think that's how like admin results, and they found his name, and then they were looking it up, and then they found like pictures of him volunteering at some church thing, and then it was a whole.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
I too like even go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say if you're gonna put addresses on stuff, I'm not advocating for you to make it a trap, but you should make it a trap. Just like a fucking empty field somewhere, or you could use like a mail forwarding service. Just forward your mail.
Dude, one of the funniest like concepts to me is committing crimes involving using like the mailing address of a foreclosed house. Like that is just so funny to me. I don't know why that concept is hilarious. But like if you're going to order something illegal to somebody's house to fuck with them, and you had to put a return address using like 6 virtual machines to hide your info, and you put the return address as like some random
17 proxies.
Dude, imagine how laggy that would be though.
Oh
10
yeah,
minutes
dude.
to figure out
Like shit.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So fun fact that that the U.S. Housing Department does not want you to know is that when an FHA home goes in foreclosure, generally they change out the locks. When they change out the locks, it's like a standard key. So if you do a little bit of Googling, you probably already have the key pin, like the key code to print a key for that house, and then you just walk up and open the fucking door. Also, the realtor lock boxes. There's videos of this online. You can most of the time decode those.
Oh,
I mean, you could hit it with a hammer, but that looks sketchy. If you just decoded it, opened up the lockbox.
Dude,
if you pull out the key and then get a copy of it made, then you can put the old key back, and now you have like a house that you can like stash shit in or hide out in if you need to.
There was a brief period of time when I was really into like lock picking and shit like that, and I still am. Like, I think it's cool. I think it's a fun, useful thing to know. And you know, I was like on Sparrows, like looking like, what should I order?
Yep.
But one of the apps that I got was just like yeah, true. But one of the apps I got was a fucking just a quick little camera thing, and you would just take a photo of the key, and it would just tell you like, oh, this is Schleg, and then it would give you the code. And it was so fucking funny because it's like, wow, dude, this is really just like, and I think there's websites where you can just order that exact key.
Yes.
And I mean, if you really wanted to, you could sit there with the Dremel and do it yourself. But
people have gotten like keys of their houses made because they'll post like they'll post pictures online that'll have their keys in the picture, and then other people can take that picture and get a key made of it, and then if they know where they're at, that's why like one of the funniest things is the like when you see random screenshots of people like posting stuff on Reddit, and there's like something like kind of schizo where they'll like put individual black boxes in all their fingertips. And they're like, I don't want anyone to see my fingerprints. Like, can you imagine being on like one of those EDC forums where people post way more shit than they actually carry in their pockets, and you like censor out all your keys?
Jesus.
You find you find a picture of like a key online, and you just copy it over that. There was actually I lived in a place with some people, and we ended up my buddy at the time that was helping me move. We were kind of like thinking of like funny little ways to fuck with the one guy. He was saying that what we should do is get one of his keys and just file, like for his car key, just file down one of the teeth on the key so it just won't work.
Jesus Christ.
It's so funny.
Well, if like observation and recon is kind of your thing, in the Virginia area, there's a organization called Red Team Alliance. They do all kinds of reconnaissance classes that are open to civilians. They do like the key cloning that you're talking about, like forging keys out of fucking pot metal, like long range surveillance with directional microphones and cameras. And they'll rent you that shit out. And they do actually train spooks. So CIA guys, other agencies, they'll go there. It's like an hour outside of DC. Don't say anything that could fucking incriminate you, because again, they train spooks, and I'm pretty sure one of them is a former spook, but can't confirm that. But yeah, they do excellent training. They go over the whole social engineering thing. They go over like breaking into construction facilities, like bypassing locks. They've got like a whole toolkit. I think Sky Pirate covers some of that. I don't know if he also does the long range surveillance piece. But yeah, Red Team Alliance, they do long range surveillance, the lock picking and social engineering. And then they also have alarm bypass, which could be interesting if that is your forte.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking break the window and jump through. Fuck all y'all. Oh no, they know I'm here.
You spend all this chain link fence trying to pick the lock, and somebody next to you just like climbs over the fence.
Yeah.
I've
Right.
seen too where
Because you're fucking 500 pounds and morbidly obese because you never fucking go anywhere. You don't get fit.
Powerful.
That's actually me. Like people say that you can take Baofeng and put it next to like a key, like a lock keypad
Toaster.
for a front door, and just hit it and unlock it. But I've never tried it or looked into it to know if it's real.
I mean, certain frequencies of certain locks that would make sense. For a while,
I would imagine
you
it'd
could
have
do
to
that
be
with
like
the
a very
simple
high
alarm
frequency
systems.
though, like a
Yeah,
range of like you.
Yeah, I know the what is it? One of the SDRs that I have, you used to be able to like trip the Simply Safe alarms if you got close enough to the alarm, like the alarm tower. If it was like on the other side of a window, you could tune your SDR to fucking trip the thing.
I'm pretty sure that's on the
wow.
Flipper. I'm pretty sure that's like a thing on Flipper Zeros.
Yes,
For
that
Simply
would not
Safe.
surprise me.
I'm like, I swear I've either seen it, but I don't think it comes in the base software. I think you have to get either an app for it, or you have to unlock your Flipper. What is I think it's called Unleashed. I don't know. I downloaded it, and I did it because fucking. All right, so as you know, not in the U.S., but a lot of the garage door openers and shit here is like bought in America and brought here. So because like it basically was region locked out of my Flipper, and I got really fucking annoyed because the whole reason why I bought it was to like I bought it because it's a cool little fun toy to like play
What
with.
even is it?
And I just play 2048. It's a fucking Tamagotchi that does things that it's just a Tamagotchi that's a key ring for like electronic
Yeah,
shit.
it's like a pre-programmed SDR that is in the form factor of a Tamagotchi.
Yeah,
Or
it's got a
however
little
the fuck you
dolphin.
pronounce that word.
Yeah, it's got a little.
That reminds
dolphin
me, I
on it.
forgot to feed my
You can, like, level it up.
Tamagotchi.
It's dead. But yeah, it's this little dolphin, and every time you commit an act of terror, it levels up. But anyways, so I just wanted to save it because I'm constantly it unlocked global thermonuclear war.
I have seen War Games. I have seen that movie. That is a good movie.
Okay, cool. That reference wasn't lost. What's this shit called? So yeah, I bought it, and then I got region locked. So I'm just like, fuck this, dude. I'm gonna download Unleashed. And I like sat there on GitHub and fucking it was really straightforward. And like now I can finally open everything, except it's not quite the miracle machine that like you would want it to be, because of course you need access to the original, like the actual fob or key card or whatever.
Yep.
It's great for cloning shit.
Yep.
Or for fucking.
Yeah,
I think you can brute force with it with Unleashed too, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how long I'd want to stand in front of a fucking card reader and just be like, "Yep, just here, walking my willy," Oh wow, cool! The door opens.
You just sign up for the fucking gym for 1 month, and then you got gym access for life because they never fucking change those codes.
I bet not.
Yeah, dude. I remember one time reading the guy's report after he came back from a physical engagement, and he was supposed to get in, but he bypassed the front desk. He's walking out a fucking aisle or a hallway, and he got to a door that was RFID locked. There's a woman that was walking up behind him, and he couldn't open the door because like he's being observed, so he can't like slip the latch or anything like that. And the dude pulls out a white card out of his wallet. I think it was his ID, and he puts it up to the RFID reader and says beep. I shit you not. And then turned around to the lady behind him and is like, my card isn't working. Do you mind badging me in so I can go get a new card? And she says yes. And badges him in. And he just fucking walks like back in the secure area, back in the employee only area. And this is like a major financial institution. And it's like, she probably got fired. Because a fucking should not be the only thing that you need to let this man you've never seen in the building.
It's crazy. It's crazy how complacency and shit like that hits even like secure areas. So I mean, if you've I used to work at the power plant, right? And so everything was key card access, and you had levels of access, and You know, we were security, so we were the only people that could go everywhere, barring like a few like key personnel. But we were pretty much the only people that could card in anywhere and go in there. But so we would have to respond to alarms and shit like that. And whenever there were outages, there were about 3 times the amount of people there because we called them carnies because they would travel to each outage. That's how they made their living. And if they were a welder, they would, you know, weld. Yeah, they pretty much were. They're weird. But they would just travel from power plant to power plant because like how it was scheduled is no 2 power plants like that were near each other would be having an outage at the same time. So they would just kind of stagger them. And so these guys would just travel around like a fucking like a caravan of fucking crazies. And so they would have to go through the whole process of getting authorized for the plant, get badged or whatever. But they would always fuck it up because you would think that despite going to all these power plants with similar security procedures, that for some reason, like, this is the one time I could tailgate. And tailgating was like the word, like it was like a cardinal sin. And, you know, if you're not familiar with what tailgating is, all it is a guy with access opens the door. The door is open now, which means that the security, it's not compromised, but there's like a timeout for it. So if the door's left open too long, you know, 10 seconds or however long it is, I don't remember, nor do I care to talk about it. But, you know, that door stays open and doesn't alarm for that amount of time, you know, to let you go in. And every once in a while, we would have to go and kind of manually open. So we'd have to check everyone's access that's going in and out because either the card reader wouldn't work or whatever. But tailgating is what happens when you open it. And then within that window, you just let other people in without carding in. And it happened a few times. And every time it happens, it's a fucking huge deal. And for some reason, it would always happen. And you would think that all of these people who are making a fuck ton of money over this shit, because they get paid pretty fucking well to do this, would just not risk their jobs like that. But they do it time and time again. Or you know, it's just so bad. Like the card reader might have different colors. And if there's only one color you're supposed to get when you have access. And then if you get any other color, the door shouldn't open. But if it does open, that means it's a malfunction and it's on us, the security team. And so we would test for that. You know, we would do routine testing and stuff like that. But sometimes shit would happen like that. They'd get the wrong color, and especially if it wasn't somewhere where there was a physical barrier and you had to have a security officer kind of manually verify that the light shined the right color. It was a fucking problem. But it's so funny how, like, people are just so complacent about it. I totally believe, like, the dude just pulling out his fucking driver's license and going beep and be like, hey, it's not working. And someone just letting him in because it's just insane how fucking.
I doubt he even needed to say beep. He probably could have just put his card up to it and been like, oh, it's not working. Can you let me in?
I mean, probably not. But I've found that generally the more money people make, the more complacent they get. Like, so I've done a lot of stuff for financial institutions, but I've also done a lot of stuff for healthcare facilities. And Jesus fucking Christ, I've never met a doctor who is cybersecurity conscious. Like, just, dude, if you're in India and you have a list of fucking phone numbers for doctors, you're gonna get like half of them. They're gonna give you their password, and they might even fucking pay you over the phone. That's my
most of
fucking
them
favorite thing, is when the guy from India is like, well, yeah. But even the young doctors, dude, like they fucking fall for it. It's like, really, like, and I mean that's how medical records end up getting released. So it's a real fucking problem.
So, kind of shifting gears here. Go on, Tyler.
All right, so I got a question for you. So, as far as, because I don't think that we've completed a single thought in this as far as like subtopics within the security realm. Then this is honestly too, I would say that in the past like 2 years or however long me and Gio have been doing this together, I think this is like the one where we've stayed on topic the most amount of time. Which
Probably.
Yeah,
which just is because funny. We can't. I don't know, man. It's so for me at least, it's unfamiliar waters. It's just
same.
I have very surface level understanding of. I know just enough to bring up topics, and that's about as far as I can get.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like I'm questions out of genuine curiosity because I don't know the answer to them. But So if you were to, because like you have dudes that you shoot with and all that stuff, and if you were to make a,
Well, used to, but yeah.
in theory you do. In this hypothetical, you do.
Okay. All right.
You you have this group of guys and you want them to be like, your contingency group or whatever the term is now. And I would say that you kind of mentioned it too. You're big cartel. I would argue, and I'm kind of on the same boat. But it's like the most likely adversary. So anyway, you picture for just normal like cell phone use, right? So we're not talking about radios, we're not talking about any of that stuff. As far as like, do you use different apps already? Would you, go super mega mode and make your own app that can only be by your jailbroken Android device? Do you, at a certain point, are you like, it doesn't matter, take a look at weird stuff and just do the normie route, or what?
Yeah, I mean, while I'm not a fan of security through obscurity, it can be a tactic. So security through obscurity is kind of just the idea of like blending in, like gray man kind of ideal. If I'm like really worried about the cartel, which I think like a year ago, there was actually some fucking cartel sicarios that were found like in my town with like automatic weapons and shit. Like they were coming here to fucking hit someone. So that was fucking exciting. Yep.
Texas moment.
It happens. Exciting day for the PD. But yeah, I mean, I would probably say that if I'm only worried about the cartel, then SATCOM is probably the way that I would go, at least in my area. Setting up any type of cellular service over the area that I would have guys in is going to be difficult. And if it's not like a full blown, like, hey, the military has commandeered your satellite, good sir, SATCOM is probably just the easiest way to go. It's going to have more cost, but it's going to be the very easy way to do that. And that's probably what I would tell most people who are not prepping for like the end of days to do. I mean, I'm in the San Antonio area, like between San Antonio and Austin. There's a bunch of fucking military people out here, and yeah, if shit ever really went down, like all the satellites here are taken by the military. But if it's just cartels, we probably wouldn't have that happen. We'd probably still be able to use satellites, and at that point, doing something that's relatively normie is going to be easy enough.
So when you say satellite, you mean what? Like getting
like
an Iridium phone?
Yeah, like an Iridium phone, or if or like I'm currently waiting on my Tesla Starlink.
Okay,
so
cool.
Like,
I was about to ask, like, would Starlink also fall under that?
Yeah. So yeah, because like if you're already using Telegram, if you're already using Signal, if you're already using something like that, having a Starlink is just going to enable you to continue using your already used methods of communication. And if you either get the mobility kit, or if you, I think it's a firmware update to the standard kit, then you can move that connection. So cool. Now you're a mobile. You've got mobile comms.
What do you mean move that connection? Like you just hook it up to a battery and drive?
Yeah, like a solar generator, and you just fucking run it on the top of your car like that.
I was briefly looking into it, but they don't. I'm sure it wouldn't matter, but they don't offer it in the Cayman Islands, which I'm sure is just. It says like coming soon. I know, right? Okay, well, I want it for here because if we get super hurricane, which, if we get a category 5, it's probably going to shit all over communications on the island. And it's just going to be completely blacked out on the island. Just no real signals. So I want one. And then just kind of, if hurricane is coming, pay for the service, let it come. And then, if you need it, cool. If you don't, you've got like a month or a year of service or whatever the fuck. And then I could just use that and immediately start either A, getting information, or B, start to communicate to people and be like, yeah, we're fine.
Yeah. So that is an option. I think they obviously know where you are,
Yeah.
right? So they might actually like really fucking care about your region lock. I'd be surprised if your use case is a disaster scenario, I'd be super surprised if they like told you to go fuck yourself. But
it might just be like a coverage thing where it's like, yeah, sorry, we don't have any fucking geosynchronous orbit that goes over the Cayman Islands. So you can go like, until we put up a satellite that goes into that orbit, like
right.
shit out of luck. I don't know how it works.
Something interesting that might be related to that on for you was taking the dive down like the ham radio license that
Yeah.
even if you have like a ham radio license and you're using appropriate freaks and you're working within your legal realms, if there's some sort of emergency that happens, the FCC
none of that, no licensing
bans
matters.
all like repeater use and anything like that, like getting used to or getting access to the repeat, because you have to, that gets assigned to you through like your ham radio course. The only real good use to that is using repeaters, so that way you can talk, beyond line of sight. But all of that kind of goes out the window as soon as there really is an emergency, so it kind of defeats the whole purpose.
I wouldn't say that because I guess it just depends on the nature of the emergency, because in fucking so right before Irma,
like a lot of the hurricanes, like the FCC was like, if you broadcast on this repeater, because now it's for emergency use only, you'll be fined like $20,000.
No, but you'll still have other repeaters you can talk on. It might just not be that specific one. But I don't.
Oh, I would have
remember
assumed that it would have been like an area thing.
No, because I would sit and listen on repeaters, and like every once in a while someone random would talk that wasn't call signed. And so as far as I understood it, at least for my area in Florida, if it is a state of emergency, they sort of suspend FCC licensing requirements. As long as you're not being like, it's a case by case
without being licensed. Then
correct. If it's an emergency or like a state of emergency, like you don't need a license to speak on a repeater, because it's assumed that if you're going through all that trouble to speak on the repeater, like it's better to give you the avenue if you need to say something important, or like it's a distress thing, or like search and rescue, and like you need to just piggyback off of something, and like, oh no, I don't have the license, I guess I'm fucked. So
worst case scenario, you can just look up like a dead guy's ham radio call sign and use that.
Yeah, except you don't have internet because a fucking hurricane destroyed all infrastructure.
That
goes in your pre-planning.
The entire time.
Yeah.
Does that mean that the entire time that COVID was a state of emergency, you didn't need a ham radio license?
No, I'm sure you could have fun arguing that one in a courtroom, but
I gotta use the repeater, dude.
Your Honor, it was a state of emergency.
No, you don't understand.
This is a talk on the repeater. I gotta argue with.
I mean, I've looked into the
Boomer at 9 p.m.
I need to research the whole HF thing, but I mean, the problem with HF compared to something like getting a Starlink is like, dude, who the fuck am I going to talk to? I would have to set someone up with HF in the US or wherever I wanted to, or like just trust that they know how to set it up, and we'd have to test it in fair weather. But the Starlink, you just hook up to the internet, if it works. Correct. And then it's just like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to update my fucking Facebook and be like, hey, I'm still alive.
Well, and the other thing is when you talk about when
the
you
meme
talk
with like
about
the war in Ukraine right now is that it's like
side.
Sorry, there's like a delay. I keep talking over you when you start talking again.
Okay. But the other thing with like Starlink if you got a business line, then they assign you a static IP address, which might not sound like a super big deal, but if you have a static IP address, then you can host infrastructure. So if you wanted to do like your super cool Onion chat server, then you stand that up behind the Starlink, and now you actually host your own infrastructure. You don't have to like stand it up with GoDaddy or AWS or Azure or anything like that. You actually just own the box. So that could be something cool.
Huh. So we've come to the conclusion that satellites are the way for the layperson to deal with relatively unsophisticated non-state actor threats.
Yes, however,
For the
you're
most
going to
part,
need
yeah.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
You're just going to need money. So
I've never.
Like, if you're gonna grab somebody new and be like, "Hey, you want to come train with us?" Yeah, okay. Our contingency method of communication, or our method of communicating if something is going wrong, is going to be over a sat phone. Go buy one. Like, I don't know.
Well, a sat
I
phone
love
can
that.
call a fucking. The problem with sat phones is you need the service too, and it is not fucking cheap.
No, but I love this. But also, fuck the people that say that they don't have the money. Like, I'm sorry, but I have, and I'm gonna rant a little bit. I've literally fucking offered people in this community gear and like setting shit up like that, and have been told no. So I kind of don't believe people when they're like, "Oh, but I can't do that." It's like, yeah, okay, sure, maybe, or maybe your guys can just kind of like chip in together, and you guys can all bring this guy on board, and he can like pay you back over a period of time, or someone who's better off financially within the group can offer the gear, and people just accept it. Like, I don't know. I don't making making money, and in my mind at least, is not super duper hard. There's lots of avenues to go about it, legal and otherwise. But
Mandatory rule that
trying
you
not to
can't buy energy of every within the.
So true.
It's,
I mean, you know, I swear, like every other podcast, I go on a rant about like finances, and like
dude,
I'm not.
I'm trying so hard not to rant because I've literally used your rants to try to convince people to be like, hey, we should do so one of the things that I had proposed in a group that I'm no longer affiliated with was like, hey, we should do a payment structure to pay people for training other guys within the group. Or we should do a payment structure that way when a new guy comes on board, he's able to get uniforms for free. And after he stays here for a certain period of time, then he's good. He doesn't have to pay anything back. But that was
Yeah. And I mean, at least within a group setting, this is, and you know, I'm just going to say it once. This is why you need the better of a financial platform you stand on, be it a benefactor or like we talked in the last podcast, if you start a business or some shit like that. The more you can set up, the quicker you can get someone set up to actually learn. Because you remove that excuse barrier of, oh, well, I can't afford a compass, or I can't afford fucking ammo, or I can't afford a uniform. And it's like, don't worry, one will be provided for you, like type shit. Like, I've always thought that was an easy thing. I mean, I spoke to a buddy of mine who was like, he almost said like to a group of guys, he's like, look, I will buy 100 fucking chai comps. And if you come in and you don't have fucking gear, I will just give you a chai comp. You don't have to pay me back. You don't have to worry about any of that. But I never want to hear that you don't have gear or anything like that again. Like, here's a chai comp. You know, it's not sexy. It's not cool, but it is gear. And it is functional.
Well, it also separates the people that are just saying that that's the setback versus the people who that actually is the setback. Because there's plenty of people, too, that...
It's just an excuse.
Well, there's so many times, like... You know, when in my experiences where you talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, I want to do that. I'm about it. This is what I want to do. And then it's like, they're never available. They're never able to do anything. Anytime that, you know, you're not, anytime that you need to go sleep outside or something came up, I can't go. And it's like, okay. Sure.
No,
there's definitely like that.
For the group that I was previously a part of, I literally set up a fitness challenge for the guys with a money pot that they didn't have to pay into, and I could not get everyone that needed to work out to join the pool to lose weight and win money.
I'm just gonna say what probably needs to be said. I don't think you can save everyone, and I don't think everyone is like I don't think everyone's competent enough to just be part of an organization where it might ask quite a bit of you.
No,
I mean, it's like the military, like that meme. You know, only like less than 1% of the people in the United States serve, and like only like less than 10% are capable of even serving. Like it's I look at it the same way. Like you just can't. It's very difficult to grab a layperson off the street and be like, okay, cool, you are now going to be the Dr. Soldier. Like, oh no, I can't. It's
Dude,
I don't.
I've literally offered guys cry uniforms for them to be like, hey, join this group, stay here for 6 months, keep the cry uniforms. I don't give a shit. And they're like, no. I'm like, okay. I cannot incentivize you anymore, good sir. That is the best I can do is a free, like, what are cries? Like fucking $400 for a field top and field bottom.
Yeah.
Like,
Whereabouts.
Yeah, I can't incentivize you any more than that without like just outright paying you. And I even offered to do that. And people are like, I don't know, dude, this kind of seems like you're building a PMC. And I'm like, I don't know, man. You guys bitch about not having time and not having money. You guys are already used to trading time for money. Seems like this could be a solution. No. So
Yeah. And like I said, it's not for everyone. And it's tough.
No.
I mean, it's somewhere down the line we'll have the leadership version of this conversation where it's like I don't think everyone could be in charge of an organization, at least not the leader you want them to be. I think someone can give orders, but I don't know whether, like, I think it's very easy for people to forget that there's a very human capital involved in every decision you make as a leader, and like,
Yep.
I don't think a lot of people can even wrap their minds around the consequences of their actions, because I mean we live in a society that I almost wanted to just stop and say we live in a society.
we just live in a society.
We live in a society, but no. My point is just we just live in a fucking world where it's so incentivized to be not even mediocre, but just to absolve yourself of like fucking any sort of culpability, and it's so there's always someone to pass the fucking blame to. And I think that was a fun thing in the military is it's always your fault. I think that was like the funnest thing about the military. It's your fault. It's always your fault. It doesn't matter. It's your fault. You could have stopped this, moron, idiot. Why didn't you stop it? Like, I don't give a fuck if it was a fucking general officer telling a private to go drink from the gasoline tank. Like, I don't care. You should have stopped it. It's like, you're not wrong. But
no, it's
fucking
it's all
rough.
interesting. I think that I don't know. Like I have like an IT guy in our group who he does a lot of the like he sets up like the ATAC server because he's got a ton of spare laptops and other stuff like that to just use at this disposal. Something funny that
where's a fursuit?
What's that?
I was just saying, he wears a fursuit.
Oh yeah, exactly. No, but like something funny that we did one
but
time was just to like this is quite a like react to contact stuff. So we set up like multiple cameras down that he just had like old phones that he didn't, he got a new phone. He'd just keep the old one and he'd use the camera on these and just set them up if shot by accident. No big deal. And it was pretty cool because, we're getting, did the same thing for, like we set up some targets and did like some ambush, the shape ambush and shot these little notional people. But yeah, it was pretty funny. And then he ended up using them a lot of stuff now for like setting up mesh network nodes and all that. It is really able to have that the people too is that they assume like the entire realm of ATAC and technology in general is just like don't touch it, they're caught and killed and stuff. Which I think that there's a lot of different like ways that you can approach that conversation.
Yeah, they're not entirely wrong. I mean, you can definitely get caught pretty easy if you don't know what you're doing. But it like everything that people would want to do in this arena has already been done before. Like no one's out here finding a 0 day to try to do the shit that you're talking about doing. Like doing a little bit of Googling, a little bit of YouTube watching, which you're already fucking doing anyway. Let's be real here. And just being productive. You can still use all the tech and not get yourself killed.
Yeah, and it's just, being realistic about who your adversaries are and being realistic about what you can prevent and what you can't. And I mean, everything is, mistakes happen, but rarely, the goal is when mistakes do happen, making sure they're not catastrophic, right? To where like, oh,
Right.
This is world ending. Like, oops, we fucked up. We left the front door open and, now there's a bull running around the house. Like, you could at least close the door.
So,
Yeah.
you for two that you're not really a fan of blend in with like whatever.
Yeah.
You said it is something in security.
Yes. Yeah. Is it security through obscurity? Yeah.
Security through
that's
obscurity.
not a good way to do it.
So I guess
In
like
my mind, at least.
That's
I
just
guess
what the
why
assumption that you're not important enough to fuck up.
well that's kind of
Yeah.
my thing too, is that if something happened and you live by San Antonio, well, one like Medina, it's a pretty sizable town too, and now like people are getting free smartphones basically. I don't know if Obama phones are still a thing, but I know that you can get like welfare phones. The amount of
You can get
signal,
those illegal border crossing phones.
Yeah,
No,
that's what
You just gotta
I
ask
mean-
an ICE guard for them.
just talking legal ones, fucking just like regular, page you get things like that. But anyway, like the amount of traffic, if there was some sort of, emergency that happened, the amount of cell phone traffic is going to be insane. And I imagine that there is something that can still keep up with filtering out keywords or, either over text or voice or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because that's the other thing too, is like when I was looking into, years and years ago, like Telegram, all that stuff, things still said that the best general messaging app to use security wise is like iMessage. And I know that, so like a couple of years ago, that was a big thing where the NSA asked to get into like the iCloud server or get like a backdoor into it because they were hunting some terrorist or something. And, it says like if they get in once, like they're in, like that there's no like pushing them out. So now it's no longer secure, right? It's compromised and whatnot. But I don't know enough about any of that.
Yeah. I mean, once you gain access to a system, like you can't kick someone out. Like, I mean, in theory, you can, right? You can burn everything to the ground and kick them out. But like when we talk about like so like one of the things that we do when we're doing red teaming engagements is we it's called persistence. So we show up, do our shit, get access to stuff, and then we maintain persistence. So if I'm doing persistence properly, then you will have to burn down all of your infrastructure, all of your accounts, and everything that you own in order to get me out of your network. Like there will be no network. You'll have to set up a new one, and that's through like accounts and services and all kinds of technical shit that most people listening to this probably don't really give a shit about. So yeah. Right. Yeah. Like there was, so I'm at a job. We had a super duper technical guy. He ended up leaving the organization. We use AWS, we use Azure, and guess what? We burned the AWS and the Azure instances to the fucking ground and started a new Azure and a new AWS instance. Because we're like, I don't know what the fuck he put in there. He has too much access and he knows how to evade security controls because he helped build the security controls. So like once you get to a certain technical level, and the NSA is definitely at that technical level, like you can't kick them out. You have to set up something entirely new.
Interesting.
So it's like a cancer. At a certain point,
Yes.
your goal is to metastasize or metastasize. And then after that, once it's at that point, it's like, well, sorry, homie. Guess you're dead.
Right. So like, and like when we talk about persistence in like an enterprise network, so Windows devices use Kerberos authentication. Kerberos is it's the authentication mechanism that all Windows devices use to kind of talk to each other, or at least it's the most secure one. And there's a Kerberos service. Once you compromise the Kerberos service, like you cannot be kicked out of the network. You just persistent have access to the network. So like, if you don't know that someone got access to that service, then you wouldn't know that they would have access to everything in the environment, like all of the passwords, all the user accounts, all the emails, all the data. They just fucking have access to everything, essentially forever, unless some very specific steps are taken. And like, you good luck kicking them out of the network. And so it's not surprising that other infrastructure can be compromised in a similar manner, where once you get a certain level of access, you're better off burning everything to the ground than trying to actually push them out.
Interesting. Yeah, honestly, I think that even after all this, I'm probably still not going to change anything.
Well, so I would tell you, if you're going to change anything, use multi-factor authentication wherever you can. The little MFA tokens, I know it's kind of fucking annoying, but it actually keeps people out. And if you have a password that is less than 8 characters, please, for the love of God, change it. Like, it is so easy.
Honestly, that is what I do is
Damn, I really
like
just counted the characters in my password just to like make sure, like, oh dude, it's gotta be longer than 8, right? Yeah, it's like substantially longer than 8.
Good. Yeah. So if you're listening to this and your password is 8 characters or less, I can take your password hash, which is like your password plus a bunch of fucking math shit that gives me a really long cryptographic sequence, and I can literally brute force every possible character combination up to and including all 8 character combinations in like a week for like $100 on Amazon. Like, your password is not secure. It delays me for a week. You should change that.
You put your password in, like, it doesn't process anything, but it tells you like roughly how long it would take for a computer to break your password. And having non-words, like letters that make up acronyms or whatever, numbers, special characters, a mix between capital and lowercase, like all that stuff, it takes substantially longer than like first name, last name.
Right. Well, and if you're talking about like password strength, so those websites are good, but they can only account for like pure brute forcing. What most password attacks are today is a combination of dictionary and rule set. So you take like a common word, say welcome, right? And you add a rule to it. So you might append like the year. So welcome 2024. Okay, we'll try welcome 2024, welcome 2024 exclamation mark, welcome 2024 with a capital W, and we can try this trillions of times. So like doing a word or 2 words that are unrelated is always better. Doing the longer the password, the better the password. Even if you don't do the complexity with like capital letters and numbers and shit, the longer the password is always the better password, unless it's like a fucking phrase. Like if it's get to the choppa from fucking Arnold, that's in the fucking dictionary, bro. You should pick a different one.
Is smoke crack in the dictionary?
Yes, it is. I've also seen
right
fuck
back.
You and I hate passwords as passwords. So
I mean, those are kind of obvious.
Yeah.
I don't know. I figured, all right, changing my password to fentanyl soldier 123. All right.
I would probably not get that, so good on you.
It needs to be an extremely obscure substance.
You need to remake the Buffalo Soldier song, but make it Fentanyl Soldier and say that he's in the heart of Minnesota.
I don't want to do that. That's
Actually, just make your password your social security number, your driver's license number, and then your first name and last name.
Fuck, you know how long that would be? I don't think that would work. Like most stuff would just. Maybe for you. It's only 6 characters.
What is your social security number? 1?
The first dude must have been like, dude, no fucking way. My number is 3.
You wouldn't guess what I got. Social
Now I'm
security numbers are
curious.
sequential, though. In fact, I know that they're not.
No.
Yeah, for first 3 letters are state. Is it first or not first 3 letters? First 3 numbers are state, and then second 2 are hospital code, and then last 4 are unique to you, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken though. Don't quote me on
I
that.
don't fucking know, man.
Yeah, I don't
It
know
doesn't
because I
matter.
think
The Chinese have it.
I think that
And the
my wife-
government has it. The government already has my social security number. What can you do? It's so over.
the geo has fallen.
So,
Billions must
so
know
sad.
these numbers. No, I think that I think that's something else because I'm pretty sure that the first three numbers of my wife's are lower than mine, and she was born after me. I don't know.
Well,
I'm
the first 3 are states, so I know that much. So the first 3 are like states based off the year that you were born. So like you can estimate the first 3 of someone's if you know where they were born and what year they were born. Like that's I know that, and I'm pretty sure the last 4 are unique. I'm just kind of shaky on the middle 2.
So it says the first set of 3 digits is called the number, the second the group number, and the final set of 4 digits is the serial number. So the first 3-digit number is assigned by geographic region. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I saw something maybe like a week ago talking about how area codes were made, or not area codes, zip codes, and how much more efficient it made the U.S. Postal Service. And I don't know, kind of interesting. I guess I could have been looking up like IT security and how to make my home penetrable, but instead I was reading about zip codes.
How
Well,
to install antivirus there.
Just install more
Well,
security.
if you're really worried about your home wireless, you should probably get a router that supports WPA3. Like just kind of general advice out there, because WPA2 is kind of dog shit, and your password for your wireless network is probably also dog shit, which means that I can get on your network from like outside your house.
I hate this. I hate computers. I hate technology.
Internet network.
I fucking hate this, dude.
Yeah, no. So if your Wi-Fi password is 8 characters or less, also fucking change that shit, because that is not great. Yeah, you should try to use WPA3 if you can, but yeah.
Interesting. Are there any other little quick tidbits you want to throw out?
Brush your
You could
teeth.
use brush your teeth, get some sunlight, don't consume too much caffeine. WPA3, use Proton Mail if you don't want your email being spied on. Use multi-factor authentication. Yeah. Keep sums of cash for homeless men. That way you can have them go buy the Visa gift cards, so you can stand up cloud infrastructure that is not attached to you, or buy cell phones that are not attached to you. Faraday bags are cool.
Hold on a second. I was going to ask something. Fuck, now I forgot.
Was it about the homeless men? They're not.
No, it was the point before that.
Brushing your teeth?
No, god damn it.
Going outside or not
No.
consuming too much caffeine.
No, after that. After those 3 first ones. It was actually something technical. Fuck me, I don't remember.
After the first 3 numbers, you have your 2 numbers, which are your group number of your social security.
I fucking hate you so much. What the
We're
fuck?
trying to be helpful, dude.
No,
Stop yelling.
I know. Dog, why are you
Was it about the wireless? Someone's gonna be fucking listening to this and be like, "Oh my fucking god, dude, these guys got fucking Alzheimer's. They can't fucking remember shit."
No,
Yeah, I
I can't remember
seriously think I
shit,
do.
dude.
I have
No,
such a
I
bad
fried
memory.
my brain with caffeine.
I've fried my brain with fentanyl and videos.
I fried my brain with Dracula Flow.
I was just gonna say I fried my brain on the Benihana grill.
So the ops can't see what I'm thinking. No, it was.
Is it wireless or?
It had something to do with it wasn't WPA3, but it was something along
Changing your password or using Proton Mail?
Being outside of your house.
Yeah, Proton Mail.
Yeah, Proton Mail. All right.
Okay, so I have a couple of burner Proton Mail accounts. I forget why.
Okay.
Those for some other shit. What makes Proton Mail competent versus like another service? Like, me just making a burner on Gmail versus like the Proton Mail.
So all of your Gmail stuff is automatically inventoried by Google. Proton Mail by default uses end-to-end encryption. Again, you send it just to one person. If you start sending like email chains to a bunch of fucking people, then that end-to-end encryption turns off. But if you send
forward this email to 10 of your best
right. If you send an email from a Proton Mail account to another Proton Mail account, then ta-da, you have end-to-end encryption on your email. And also, Proton Mail has told the U.S. government to go fuck themselves. Okay. They do not have your passwords. They do not have your decrypt keys. So if you lose your password, you're fucked. You cannot reset your password. But if you remember your password, because you should be using a password manager, then cool, you're in. You don't have to worry about your email being spied on.
Very nice.
Or at least not spied on by foreign governments. The U.S. will still crack it, but it'll take them a little while longer. They'll have to really want you instead of just kind of mass collecting all of your shit.
Yeah, I guess I just don't really know, like, what does it matter if a foreign government has my data? Like, they're not going to sell it to the U.S. because they're not on like friendly terms necessarily.
I guess so. The only time it would really matter is if you were privy to something sensitive.
Right. So like it probably doesn't. I mean, maybe it matters a little bit for me because I hack people for a living, but it probably matters more for people with like security clearances. Like your average person, it probably doesn't really matter a whole lot. Other than that, the more information that an organization has on you, the easier it'll be to social engineer you. So if I know your phone number, your address, your date of birth, and like your family information, I can reset your password. Like there was a test that I did for like an Ivy League university where I literally called the help desk, impersonated a director, and got the help desk to reset the director's MFA token to my phone by just doing some open source intelligence gathering. Like got his address, got the date that he was born, got his mother's maiden name, reset his fucking reset his MFA token, and then got access to the retirement accounts associated with said Ivy League institution, and then found a passwords file. Yeah, so don't store your passwords in an Excel doc, please, and certainly don't call it passwords. Because
someone overshared on LinkedIn Retirement Fund.
Dude, well, it wasn't just his retirement fund. He was like the director of all of the retirement funds. Like he was like the pension manager.
Everyone wants retirement funds.
Yeah, so it was 25 billion in retirements. So I like logged into the TD Ameritrade account and I was like, oh, that's too many digits. So yeah, no MFA on that either because it was a shared account. Don't fucking do that.
Oh.
So some fucking like minimum wage worker in California reset an MFA token, and I got $25 billion or access to $25 billion,
of which you didn't touch a single cent.
Correct, because I'd go to big jail.
Yeah, you get sodomized. Okay, I have a question. Do you think that Signal was cracked, or at least Tucker Carlson's Signal was cracked?
I mean, it's entirely possible.
Okay, cool. So it's totally possible.
Yeah, I mean, so Signal. So while Signal does re-authenticate on phones, I mean, we know Jeff Bezos's phone was compromised, and we know that he has, or at least it's assumed that he has fairly technical security controls. I believe he was compromised with Pegasus, if I'm not misremembering the name. But there's newer versions of Pegasus that are 0-click, meaning there's no user interaction. So it's literally just reach out, hit the phone, and now you've got remote code execution on the phone. So you've got access to everything on the phone. And then you just access the app. I mean, the data itself might be encrypted in like the file store, but if I've got access to the phone, then I can take screenshots. And if Signal allows you to take screenshots, which it does, then I can read everything and I can see everything that Tucker Carlson would, in theory, have on his phone.
That's fucking funny.
Yeah, that's why, like, if you use like a banking app, like banking apps won't let you take screenshots. So like Chase, USA, Wells Fargo,
PayPal
they won't
doesn't.
let you take.
Oh wait, PNC lets
So you
you.
can't take screenshots. Oh well, they should.
Fucking moron. All your money's gone. Check your bank account right now. That bitch is gonna say -$5 billion.
It already did.
Oh, then you're set. Doesn't matter.
Plot twist: you're actually just looking at a U.S. Treasury account.
Oh no!
It keeps going down.
Dude,
Wait,
what's
it
crazy-
doesn't matter.
What's crazy is I live in the island that's the most known for the financial services, and I do wonder if I ever was compelled to do so, how far I could get into some of these fucking offices. Just walk in and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm Dr. fucking Poop here to inspect the toilet."
Dude, if you're if you do a little bit of research and you figure out like what company insures the building, dude, that's the fucking easiest way to get in. You show up with like a fucking fake insurance policy that's been doctored up a little bit. You just put a clause in there about random inspections for like fire safety or construction, and you just fucking show up and you're like, well, here's your policy. Do you want your insurance canceled today? And the front desk receptionist is going to be like, I don't know. They're like, okay, well, I'm going to walk around. And if I get asked to leave, then you lose your insurance today, and you're going to be responsible for that. And then they just fucking leave you alone. You walk wherever you want because you got a clipboard and you're dressed kind of nice like an insurance person. It works fucking everywhere. Yeah. Because every place has insurance, and no one wants to deal with the insurance people. They're super boring, and you can be kind of aggressive with them because you're insurance, and that's kind of the perspective.
Yeah, they already expect you to be an asshole,
right? And no one wants to talk with the insurance guy.
Okay, so we briefly mentioned Flipper Zeros. I know that the Flipper Zero is like baby's first tool. What would you recommend to get more, more effective stuff? Either on a Flipper Zero, we talked about the Unleashed firmware, or like something beyond that. Like I can only name it, and I don't know a goddamn thing about it, like a hack RF type thing.
Yep. Yeah. So, so you could look at the NARD SAM expansion board for Flipper Zero. That makes it compatible with your HID and your I-class cards, which is commonly what you'll find most organizations use now. You can also look at your Proxmark 3s. Your Proxmark 3s are going to, again, be those are kind of like what the professionals use. Like that's what I would use if I'm going on site, because the Proxmark 3s will do low frequency and high frequency, and they're pretty easy to use. If you're kind of handy, you can use a Proxmark 3 and kind of rig it up with a much bigger antenna and get a longer range. Get a longer range on your authentication and your card capture. If you want to kind of man in the middle this shit, then you can look for an ESP key, which is kind of like take the reader off the wall. You kind of wiretap the device, and then whenever a card comes through, you'll capture that. You could replay it over your phone and get in, so you don't look like quite so sketchy walking up with a weird looking thing in your fucking hand.
Yeah, you're just gonna look sketchy being the dude pulling out the card reader and drilling into it.
That's what I've always wondered is like, how do people install skimmers in like the 7-Eleven card reader by the register?
probably because the cashier's in on it, or it's the fucking cashier that did it.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. They're usually Indian.
An
Anyway.
inside job.
Right, like okay, cool. I'm the fucking cashier that's making $7.25 an hour. Get fucked, Mr. Person who's buying a beer at 1:00 in the morning. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take $1 or $2 off the top. Like it's that's not too hard.
No, but
But
no, there's a lot of cool stuff that like I didn't even know was a thing, or a lot of questions had been answered. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
And
no, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been enlightening.
this is
Sweet. Yeah.
You could have
Happy
been
to
totally
talk.
wrong. You could have been totally wrong about everything you said, and there's no way for us to corroborate it.
yeah.
Well, I'm sure I will find out all about how wrong I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, is there like a way you want people to reach out to you, or can they talk to you?
Yeah, they could kind of just not talk to me.
Okay, that's fine. I don't care.
No, that's
Yeah,
completely acceptable.
OPSEC and whatnot. This is how you handle OPSEC appropriately. Don't talk to me.
Once I come back from my little Instagram fast, I'm gonna a bunch of people and be like, "This guy's an idiot," and I'm gonna just be like, "All right, here you go. These are what people are saying. You can't do anything about it."
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. I'm sure I'll get DMs from people who know me personally who are like, "What the fuck, man?" But whatever.
You gave up all of our secrets.
No, trade secrets.
I gave them all the wrong secrets as a joke.
No, the decoy secrets.